So we look for suppliers where they can be a reliable supplier.
Consider Canada reliable in that vein right now? Not yet.
Not yet.
The trend continues to shift. Welcome back to Moose on Loose. My name's David. Today we've got new polling data once again showing Pierre in the lead. We've also got some crazy leftist wingnuts out on the street protesting Donald Trump in Canada. We got the Indian ambassador on CTV. We got David Eby on CBC. Got a bunch of other stuff here. Let's jump into this. Starting this one off, we got Shreya Teest modeling this out. Abacus data poll. The poll here, 41% for the Conservatives, 40% for the Liberals, and the NDP with 8%. So they've gone up 1% here. Bloc sitting at 7% and Greens at 3%. Modeling this out, he's got 158 seats for the Conservatives, plus 14, minus 19 seats down to 150 for the Liberals. And the Bloc gaining 8 seats here to 30. Ironically, this one, the NDP would lose 4 seats down to 3. So interesting one here, Conservative minority. This is what, 5 polls now in a row where Pierre Poilievre has been leading. So this falls in line with what we just saw in Newfoundland and Labrador, the majority government that just got elected there. Moving ahead, we've got another buffoon, this time Gary Anasandri. So listen to this. He slips this out that those 1,000 border guards that Mark Carney said they're going to hire, that's not this year. It's a longer time frame.
Starting, as early as the next 2 to 3 weeks, I'm meeting with the president of CBSA Monday morning to finalize the plans for the recruitment of the new 1,000 RCMP officers over the next CBSA officers over the next 5 years, and we will be executing it forthwith.
So just to be clear, it's 1,000 over 5 years?
That's correct.
Is that enough to meet the need? And I ask because it was not a year ago that I was interviewing your predecessor at the time, Minister Dominic LeBlanc, about the CBSA, the union representing CBSA officers who had long, almost for 10 years, called for additional resources at the border, saying they simply did not have the ability to keep up pace with criminal activity or trade, as you point out. They were calling at the time for 2,000 to 3,000. I remember the minister dismissing that out of hand and saying that's what unions do. They ask for more resources. Now you're conceding that there are some additional resources needed, but 1,000 over 5 years, is that really going to make a dent?
Well, let me just speak about what we're doing. So the additional officers.
I'm on the back foot now, so my voice is raised up, and I'm just trying to. I don't know what to say now. So Vasi doing a good job here, calling him out, because 1,000 border guards over 5 years. Okay, this is ridiculous, guys. There's clearly not enough right now, let alone in 5 years from now. Like, what's our population going to be if the Liberals still stay in power for the next 5 years? 50 million? 60 million?
So we were at Niagara Falls today at the Rainbow Crossing, and we saw the new technology that's being deployed for issues such as scanning.
So he just goes on to ramble. She grills him over and over, but it's basically that one of those interviews where it's just rinse and repeat the same thing over and over. How's this clown still a cabinet minister? That's a great question. This guy is an absolute joke. He should not be in government. He should have nothing to do with any government, let alone even provincial government or municipal government. Guess he can still repeat talking points, doesn't actually say anything. So maybe that makes him cabinet material for the Liberals. How are those Black Hawk helicopters working out? Haven't heard much about them since the election. No kidding. Everything with these guys, it's an absolute joke. RCMP have zero credibility anywhere in this world. The brass, the top level, which I guess comes from all the stuff they wear, shiny brass, the way that they've covered up everything for the Liberals for years is ruining the credibility of RCMP, period, in this country, which is awful. Moving ahead, we've got a clown show here in Canada. This is real. This is not fake. This is something you have to see for yourself. We have people protesting Donald Trump in Canada with this no kings, no tyrants protest.
That's the American Embassy across the road. So we're looking for a photo op. I would like to have everybody turn towards the embassy. Take your right hand like you're about to pledge your allegiance. Raise the middle finger. And on the count of 3, we're going to yell, F you Trump. 1, 2, 3. One more time.
Dude, Donald Trump doesn't care. He does not care about this stupid protest, and neither does that embassy or anyone in that building. These clowns don't get it.
Awesome. Share that on your social.
Trump is not in that building, guys. He's not there. But what do they think they're achieving with this? It may be time to stop watching CBC. And here's another clip from this ridiculous rally.
No Trump, no KKK! No fascist USA! No Trump, no KKK! No fascist USA! No Trump, no KKK! No fascist USA!
These people are insane. KKK, where's the KKK? Come on. The most dangerous thing we've got going on is their stupidity.
No Trump, no KKK. No fascist USA. No Trump, no KKK. No fascist USA. Women rights are under attack.
These people are mindless zombies. Come on.
What do we do?
Let me guess, elbows up? These sheep have no idea what they're doing. I'm sure most of them voted for Mark Carney. Meanwhile, we've got a father here getting pow-powed by bad guys here with baseball bats, because that's what happens in our country now. And I can't play most of this because obviously this guy's getting slugged with baseball bats, because that's the kind of people that the Liberals have allowed to come into our country unvetted. You can see just out of frame there too, the guy just swinging away, swinging away. Yeah, and the guy's in pain. Too bad he didn't have a pew-pew to blast them away. Although he would have likely been charged for that because our country's dumb. Moving ahead, we've got this letter going around. This is quite something. Let me read this. So this is in regards to the Cowichan, the land stir-up in Richmond, essentially land being given back to the First Nations. This is coming from the city of Richmond. That is the city where all of this is happening. So this is Richmond here, this whole island here, which is Lulu Island, technically a part of Greater Vancouver. So the land in question here for this starts down here where these residents are, and it goes upwards and encompasses basically this whole area here. All these warehouses, there's an Amazon fulfillment center here, there's an IKEA one, there's a whole bunch of stuff, including a couple farmhouses down here as well. It says, notice to registered owner, please take note that the recent BC support decision of Cowichan Tribes versus Canada 2025 made some very important decisions that could negatively affect the title on your property. If you look at the draft map attached to the briefing, your property is located within the claim area outlined in green. For those whose property is in this area outlined in black, the court has declared Aboriginal title on your property, which may compromise the status and validity of your ownership. This goes back to exactly what I said in my video. This was mandated without any prior notice to the landowners. The entire area outlined in green is claimed on appeal by the Cowichan First Nations. Given the serious implications of this court decision and the pending appeal, the city is hosting an information session on Tuesday, October 28, 2025 in Richmond City Hall. This is outrageous. I don't have access to the map they're listing there, but I do have this one that I created on Google Earth here. And so the two different colors here, there's this one, which I'm guessing is the black is what they're referring to, is my orange section here. And then the bigger, broader one here is probably the one they have in green. So there's a couple other properties and stuff in this green one here. But the ones that are technically First Nation ownership is what's in this orange area, which does include all these condo units down here, this huge car lot. There's also some individual homes down here and a whole bunch of properties. So this is just a wild situation where First Nation chiefs don't have enough money. There's already been hundreds of billions of dollars and it's not enough. They need more and more and more. And even if they do get all of this ownership of land or a huge settlement deal, none of this money will go to First Nations. These chiefs are so corrupt. They picked this area because it's worth so much money. This is just a grift to make money. That's all this is. The everyday First Nation person does not get any of this stuff. They don't get the band money. Corrupt chiefs pocket this stuff and the Liberals allow it. They keep giving them money. They keep stuffing in their pockets, and this is just another grift. It's disgraceful what's happening to our country. If we don't have proper land rights, we won't be a serious nation. What kind of company would want to come in from out of Canada? What if Toyota comes in here and wants to build a big car manufacturing plant right here? You think they're going to do that if they think First Nation's going to steal their land? What a joke. Our country's a joke. This whole court case should be thrown in the garbage where it belongs. So I can't imagine the comments on here are going to be too kind. We got Thomas posting this here. Yellow is unceded territories, lands appropriated by governments of Canada. I mean, so is that the goal? Just go take everything back? This Richmond land ruling that Indigenous titles supersedes private title is indeed a serious existential threat to much of Canada. We need to be ready to take necessary steps, including to potentially reopening Constitution and fixing the problem ASAP. Yeah, the BC NDP didn't even argue that Aboriginal title was extinguished when fee simple title was created because of a directive from David Eby to not use that argument because it wasn't supportive anti-reconciliation. Who does David Eby work for? First Nations or BC citizens? I've already said this before. He's the first First Nations Premier of British Columbia. He does not serve Canadians. He doesn't care about Canadians. And frankly, he doesn't even care about First Nations. All he cares about is appeasing First Nation chiefs, the really rich ones at the top who get all the cash. They spend so much effort into making sure Indigenous ownership. But why? It's like one guy at the top who gets to profit that's a First Nation chief or well-connected insider who's got money to set up LNG or whatever. This doesn't go to the rest of First Nations. All Canadians should be treated the same in our country. This reconciliation nonsense needs to go away. Then we'd actually be able to get clean clean drinking water to First Nations who don't have it, because these corrupt chiefs aren't going to do it. Their plan is to destroy the entire West. That's the left's goal. They will only try and make things worse. South Africa is the template. They will begin to expropriate land without compensation. All I have to say to this is come get some. And with that, we've got David Eby on CBC throwing another tantrum. This guy is out of control.
We're not putting American booze back on the shelves. We are deprioritizing and removing American companies from public procurement, focusing on Canadian companies and other reliable trading partners. And we're going to continue that. Really, they need us. They need what we produce. They need our lumber around cost-effective building material. Yeah. They need our germanium from the Teck smelter and Trail. And so let's talk about those things at the table.
I do want to ask you about the Alberta pipeline push, because that continues. As you know, the Premier of Alberta wants to see something green-lit before the Grey Cup is the deadline she's given. The decision obviously comes from the Major Projects Unit and from the federal government. The Energy Minister said in a Senate hearing last week that the Alberta government needs to get the support of British Columbia and, of course, Indigenous communities in your province. Is that what has to happen here? Or have you spoken to the Alberta Premier about this project and what she's trying to do?
I have. I had a call from the Alberta Premier briefly before she announced her communications task force. I guess I'm just deeply disappointed. I had thought we were on a certain path with Alberta. There's lots of work we can do together, including about...
What is that path where you block all of their resources getting to Tidewater? Is that the path? And a side note here, look at Moneybags David Eby here. Looks like he's living large. So first off, this lamp in the corner here, this was hard to find. It's a handmade lamp on Etsy. It's 700 pounds or 1,300 Canadian dollars. And this big white orb thing back there, I know exactly what that is. That's one of these things, one of these ball chairs. 3,000 bucks. Moneybags David Eby. Life's not hard of the Eby family, that's for sure.
Access to Tidewater for Alberta petroleum products. We have a publicly owned pipeline. There's a significant optimization project that could significantly expand throughput. We're not talking about that. Electrical intertie that could reduce emissions and reduce bills for Albertans. We're not talking about that.
This guy doesn't want to create more jobs. He doesn't want prosperity in Alberta. Meanwhile, he's stinking rich, clearly. Look at this fancy place, multi-million-dollar condo or townhouse or apartment, whatever he's living in here.
Expanding the hydrogen sector. We're not talking about that. Instead, what we're talking about is a non-existent project. There is no proponent. There is no route. There is nothing. But the Premier is launching a full attack on our social license with First Nations along the coast for tens of billions of dollars in real projects. The tanker ban to protect Canada's west coast, our pristine north coast, is the social license with First Nations to be able to deliver tens of billions of dollars.
The same pristine coast where there's a big dirty coal facility right on the ocean, that pristine coast. This guy's a two-faced liar.
The fact that she's launching this culture war, an ideological war.
Culture war? They're trying to get their product to market. This guy is an absolute snake. He knows exactly what he's doing here.
That has no project behind it, that will require tens of billions of dollars in taxpayer money to construct because no company wants to do it. That's patently obvious, is deeply frustrating to me and totally counterproductive to where we need to be going.
I mean, you sound pretty angry, Premier, frankly.
Yeah, I guess, when you spend years, and we have spent years, working with First Nations, working with communities.
This is getting so tiring. This guy has to be thrown out of office immediately. He's the biggest threat to BC and Canada's prosperity currently in Canada. It's a pretty close one here with him and Mark Carney.
And say, you know what, I think it would be cool to have a pipeline. I don't actually have any project, but I think that would be great. And BC needs to remove this tanker ban. That's a foundational piece to these major.
So this liar knows full well that there would be proponents rolling in if Carney got rid of the emissions cap, which based on the last interview seems like he's going to do it maybe, or he's going to try to change the system a bit with emissions and pathways project. I don't know what he's up to. We'll see. But we already had China come out and said they'd buy oil if there was more oil available. And here we have in India saying the exact same thing. So David Eby can say whatever he wants, but he's full of crap.
I know that India has expressed interest in liquefied natural gas. There's a lot of talk right now in the White House about limiting oil from Russia to India, the #1 supplier of oil. Would you turn to Canada as a supplier in lieu of that?
We will turn to anywhere who can supply us. You have to understand we're a 1.4 billion population country. We're growing very fast. We're going to be the 4th largest economy in the world, soon to be the 3rd largest economy in the world. We are going to become 10 trillion in the next 4 to 5 years. A country of that size is going to consume everything. not just energy, food, you name anything in the world, we are going to be the largest consumer in the world. So we look for suppliers where there can be a reliable supplier, not a supplier who today says, okay, I'm going to supply you, and tomorrow says, no, I have this problem with you, I cannot supply you. We want to
consider Canada reliable in that
Not
vein
yet.
right now? Not yet.
Not yet. We want
That's straightforward. Not yet. Not reliable.
you to be a reliable supplier because, like what we discussed before, we don't want a situation where extraneous factors to economic activities become a deterrent to economic activities. There has to be reliability among the purchaser of oil in India, the people who buy oil from Canada, people who buy pulses from Canada, people who buy potash from Canada. Those who buy have to be sure that Canada is a reliable supplier. We want reliability in supply chains. We don't want a situation like it happened in COVID, when certain countries cut off supplies because of political reasons. You know what happened during COVID. So we do not want a situation where countries want to sell us things because it benefits them, but use excuses to say, okay, we cannot supply at that time. We want reliable supply chains. And we have always looked for that, and we will.
Do you believe that Canada could become that reliable partner in that vein?
Of course, we always believed Canada can be a reliable supplier. From a very long time, Canada has been a reliable supplier to many things, but certain events in the past has made us reconsider that, and I hope that we can move forward.
We are so close to having so much prosperity. We just have to get these liberals out of power. We need enough people to wake up here, because we could be exporting oil to India and China, and gas to India, and gas to Germany, and gas to anywhere else. So much we can offer if we can get rid of these buffoons.
About the prospect of, I mean, prior to everything falling apart, there were the negotiations for a free trade
things
deal.
Didn't fall apart.
Well, I'm sorry, I'm interpreting, that they canceled the discussions on the free trade agreement.
Yes,
they, made those allegations. That's what I'm referencing in that vein.
Because if you look at it, the bilateral trade didn't go down, it went up.
No.
Financial investments went up.
Yeah.
Everything went up because we are working with people who are reliable. If you remove it from the political influence, now the political influence can become a negative influence on politics, on economics, which we have seen always.
This interview is interesting because earlier on, this is at the end here, but they got into a little bit of a skiff here based on the heated tensions.
Security officials, what about the allegations from Canada is my question. Because I understand your concerns. You know that Canadians will be familiar with the concerns and accusations levied, not just by the political class here in Canada, but by the law enforcement, the RCMP as well.
No, the RCMP has made its allegations. Now we are waiting for any evidence to be given.
So still not.
So what they're talking about, Canadian police accuse Indian diplomats of criminal activities, including homicides, accusations made hours after both countries expelled senior diplomats in escalating row of ending Sikh activists. Canadian police accused Indian diplomats and consular staff of clandestine and criminal activities in the country on Monday night. So this was back from last year. This whole thing blew up. The problem is the brass here, not exactly trustworthy. The top level of the RCMP, it really makes you wonder who do you believe here? Because those guys keep covering up everything for Justin Trudeau and now Mark Carney. We saw what happened with the election, Mark Carney's events, they kicking people out the door, journalists they don't like. That's not a free country. That's not freedom of speech. Rebel News, I believe, got thrown out multiple times from Carney's events. The brass will do anything that Carney asks for. And I looked into this. I didn't realize that the top guys there on the RCMP, they make $400,000 to $450,000 a year. So no wonder they're doing Carney's bidding there. They're making a pile of money, possibly more than the Prime Minister of Canada.
It's a bigger discussion between both countries because it's not a specific allegation which is important. What is important is the bigger discussion. Is Canada safe for Indians here? Is Canada safe from itself? Because Canada cannot look at this situation as an Indian problem. It's a Canadian problem. There are Canadians who are creating this problem. So do you look at it? Do you look at what is happening within Canada? Today, one of the restaurants which was attacked for the third time in Vancouver, shots were fired at the restaurant, which is owned by an Indian. Indians are feeling, South Asians and Indians are feeling unsafe here. Do we need to target that? Do we need to make sure that they feel safe? What is happening here? The High Commissioner of Canada and India doesn't need protection, but the High Commissioner of India and Canada needs protection.
Wow, this guy's calling out our country being unsafe, not just for Indians, but for all Canadians, and he's right.
We need to look into that. Why is it a situation like that? So those are things. The larger discussions have to happen because any relationship takes into account every aspect of the relationship, from economic security to physical security, political security, security on the streets. All of the situations have to be discussed. We cannot have a relationship where we focus on one and let the others be hostage to that.
And I want to ask about the other stuff in a moment. One final question on this, because I take your point about security and the fact that you need it, and that there would be a large diaspora here who are concerned about the actions of those separatists. There are also a number of Sikh Canadians who are concerned about being targets, as the RCMP have alleged, of people like your predecessor. I'm relaying what the RCMP has told Canadians. How can you assure those communities, the Sikh community, that they will not be targets now that you and your colleagues are back here?
They never were. I find it very strange that allegations have become evidence. It never works like that. Anybody can allege.
To be fair, you're right.
Yeah.
They haven't been proven in court. But as Canadians, when our national police force conveys something,
when somebody makes a mistake in saying something, it's up to the RCMP to make things right. I cannot guarantee you something which I have not done. I cannot say they'll be safe because I never targeted them.
But you can be explicit. There will be no sort of extraterritorial action against
We never
anything.
do. We never do. Extraterritorial action by India is never done. When is the last time you heard of an extraterritorial action by India?
Well, the one I'm most familiar with is the one the RCMP alleges here.
Yes, but that's an allegation. Exactly what I'm saying. It's the same thing. When we say that we have a problem with certain sections, it's an allegation. But if we give evidence, then it becomes actionable. Please, let's talk about it the same way.
Wow, this is... I mean, I don't know. What do we say to this? The RCMP in Canada, the top level, the brass, are a joke. He was dishing some serious truth bombs there about the lack of safety in our country. High Commissioner, well done. You skillfully addressed every question and definitely navigated the curveball allegations. Canada would do well to inoculate itself from the sickness it harbors within if it truly wants to build a healthier, stronger relationship with a vibrant, rising India. I mean, a stronger relationship with India economically would be very good for Canada. Sell them a bunch of oil and gas, critical minerals, whatever else. Help us broaden our trade partnerships so we're not so reliant on America. The one thing we don't need more of is people. We're maxed out. We're good with that. We need to be shutting the border.